In a recent video, I identified Alan Alda's Hawkeye Pierce as the indispensable character in the sitcom MASH. And I think I may have said that every sitcom, in fact every drama for that matter, has an indispensable character. So this video, I'm going to look at who I think, although you may disagree, are the indispensable characters in some popular shows. They don't come much bigger than the Big Bang Theory. It's a megalith of a program that that ended several years ago, but will live on in repeats, no doubt, for many, many, many years to come. And the reason I think that is that it comes down to one central character. Now, originally, there were 5 central cast members as an ensemble, and then another 2 were added. But there's really only one who I think, if not carried the show, but the show would be greatly diminished without. And I know that the producers recognize that, because one went on to have, well, a prequel, not a sequel, and that was Sheldon. So Sheldon Cooper is one of those characters that emerged from nowhere. Nobody probably could have foreseen the impact that character would have. And no disrespect to the other characters or the other actors or the writing, but without Sheldon, there is no Big Bang Theory. There's certainly no young Sheldon. Now, there's talk of another Big Bang spin-off coming, and I'd be very interested to see how they handle that, because it is possible that you could spin off one of those other characters, create a show around them, and it still work. I wouldn't imagine it would work as well as Big Bang or young Sheldon, though. But I could be wrong, and I'd like your thoughts on it. Going back a bit further in time, Happy Days. Happy Days is a show that ran for many seasons. Some might say it went for too many seasons. In fact, Happy Days is the origin of the phrase "jump the shark," which is used to talk about mainly TV shows, but anything that has gone beyond its use-by date. And the reason it's called Jumping the Shark is because there was a character who I will name shortly, who literally jumped a shark on water skis. Now, that character also happened to be the reason the show was the huge success that it was, and that is the Fonz, as played by Henry Winkler. The Fonz was supposed to be a background character, and the star of the show was supposedly the character of Richie Cunningham, played by Ron Howard. As it turned out, Cunningham left the show before it ended, and it was coming to an end anyway, but the reason it had got to the point that it had was because the Fonz was so incredibly popular. And as a show that looked back in a nostalgic time, the character of the Fonz was the one that the people in the 70s and the 80s identified more with the period it was set, which was the 50s, than Richie and his wholesome family. So once again, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think a show like Happy Days would have gone on for so long, would have even had the chance to jump the shark without the Fonz? Okay, so here's one I'm willing to be challenged on, because I wasn't a big fan of the show, but whenever I saw an episode, only one character stood out to me. And I'm talking about How I Met Your Mother. I'm talking about the character of Barney Stinson, played by Neil Patrick Harris. And I didn't know for some time that he wasn't meant to be the main character, that he wasn't the guy who's narrating the show or about whom it ostensibly is. Now, I know that there are flaws in that character, very, very much so. It's just, to me, Neil Patrick Harris was the standout. I thought it was his show. I did not know. Now, I'm willing to be proven wrong here. Tell me why that wasn't the case. Tell me why it was a stronger ensemble than I remember it to be, and tell me what it was all about. Really. Okay, last and very much not least in this relatively short video is Homer Simpson. I don't know if the makers of The Simpsons realized it at the time. My memory, when it started, I do remember when it started. I remember knowing about it before seeing it. I remember buying a t-shirt, a bootleg t-shirt as it turned out, in the US before the show had really caught on in Australia. And very much then the focus was on the Bart character. And that did not last long. Homer Simpson became the everyman and the focus of The Simpsons, and I would argue, despite various attempts to make it otherwise, still is. So that's how I see it. If you agree, please tell me why. If you disagree, get into those comments and tell me why I am wrong, but please do it politely. Also share, and if you can subscribe, that's very good for me, and it costs you nothing. It doesn't hurt you at all, and it means that you will know if you also ring the bell when I've got another video coming out. They're not all about television and popular culture, but I hope there's something in most of them for at least some of you. Thank you for your time. I can't see you, I wish I could, but I hope you see me again soon. Goodbye.